Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of Season 3 of TechRise. For those of you joining us for the first time, I am Desiree Vargas Wrigley, a two-time Latina founder here, turned funder and Chief Innovation Officer at P33 and Executive Director of TechRise. Bit of a mouthful. TechRise, for those just joining us, is a weekly competition that we built in partnership with Verizon to support Chicago's BIPOC and women founders. So each week we have 4 or 5 founders take the stage. They give a 4-minute pitch followed by 4 minutes of Q&A from judges that are VCs, angel investors, and experts from across the country. And then someone chooses a winner. And then we have about 10 or 15 minutes where we have a guest to talk about cool things that are happening in the Chicago ecosystem. Today's pitch competition is sponsored by one of our excellent corporate partners, Discover Financial Services, and our theme is FinTech. So you'll see founders up here talking about all kinds of everything related to financial services. And also, just so some of you know that are watching, some of these founders are pitching for the very first time. Some of them are very polished. And so it's incredible to see how amazing they do in this environment. And we're excited to support them today. And with that, I'm going to welcome our 3 judges for today. So first we have David Uponi. He is an investor at Forum Ventures and focuses on sourcing, evaluating, and executing investment opportunities for the firm. He brings over 5 years of experience in the software investments field, market research, and management consulting space. And prior to Forum, he led market research at Georgian, a notable SaaS growth equity fund. So, David, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And next we have MJ Jastrebski. I don't know that I said that correctly, but you'll correct me. She has 20 plus years of experience in product and technology as Stylitics Chief Product Officer. She oversees product management, design, analytics, and solutions at the company. She's also an avid investor in early stage startups with founders of all backgrounds, all races, all genders, and all socioeconomic conditions. And we work together on that. So it's great to have you here. And then finally, we are welcoming our 3rd judge, Devin Brown. Devin is currently a venture capital associate at TechNexus Venture Collaborative and has been active within the venture capital community as a fellow at Swan Lab, USA Ventures, Ciroc Ventures, and Chicago Blend. His investment verticals include B2B SaaS, enterprise software, FinTech, and future of work. Great to have you on today too, Devin.
So excited to hear you all pitch today.
Great. Well, with that, I'm going to get us started, and we're going to welcome on Cameron Russ with Mygrate. I'll let you know as soon as we can see. Oh, looks like you're good to go.
All right, and everybody can see me, no problem?
Yep, you're great.
All right. Excited to kick things off today, guys. I am Cameron Russ, and today I'll be introducing you all to our payment processor, Mygrate. Somebody tell me, what's the good in having a bunch of money if you can't spend any of it? Digital currency has a problem. Today, owning digital currency is more like owning stock, an asset that one must liquidate in order to reap the benefits of. Instead, digital currency should be like a currency, as the name implies. Let's not also forget the hesitancy from many businesses to accept the form of payment with such a short history. Mygrate emphasizes the currency in digital currency, while also enabling vendors to access a growing market share in a lower risk method by instantly converting the digital currency to a stablecoin. We are a B2B application, so we work directly with vendors to help them facilitate these transactions with their customers. So how do we work? Well, the customer goes through the vendor's checkout process and pays using the Mygrate API. The buyer sends the digital currency corresponding to the real-time dollar amount to the Mygrate smart wallet. The smart wallet can do one of 2 things. It can return the digital currency to the buyer if the product is not delivered, or it can deliver the digital currency to the vendor once confirming that the product has been shipped. Mygrate, the company, will actually not have access to these funds. Given that the blockchain is immutable, this ensures that our vendors are protected as well as their customers. Digital currency is here and is here to stay. Millions of Americans use digital currency. Hundreds of millions of Americans shop online. And there's never a shortage of small businesses looking to constantly capitalize on new market shares. Even the government is taking strides towards the digital future by creating their own digital currency. Currently, we're nearing our private beta launch. We have a whitelist of about 15 to 20 businesses that are looking to implement Mygrate as a payment solution. Following that, we'll iron any hiccups and then move into our public launch. And then following our successful public launch, we'll go into pre-seed funding. No current payment processor uses digital currency as the primary medium of exchange. We also have a heavy emphasis on protecting business owners. Converting to a stable coin helps to combat the volatility that digital currency has become known for. So should we win, how will we use the money? Well, 25% of that will go towards development and security. Another 25% of that will go towards marketing. And the last half of that will go towards regulatory fees and licensing. So let's meet the team. You might be asking yourself, why would these young 20-something-year-olds with great jobs at top companies want to pursue an idea like this now? Well, much like in our careers, we are problem solvers. And right now, in the realm of digital currency, we recognize a problem that needs solving. Digital currency is at a turning point today, and Mygrate aims to assist in revolutionizing how we live tomorrow. So what will the future look like? Well, Mygrate wants to provide more utility to digital currency users, as we can clearly see that digital currency is in our future. And we want to enable businesses to capitalize on this unique market in a safe and secure way. So with that, thank you for listening to me. And would you all please migrate into the future with Mygrate? Thank you.
Great job, Cameron. All right, judges, you can come on, and Cameron, you can stop sharing screen so we can get all the faces big. Perfect. And David, would you mind kicking us off?
Sure. Great pitch, Cameron. That's a really, really cool business. I have kind of my main question would be around kind of the use of funds. You have 50% of that kind of dedicated to regulatory. What kind of regulatory things are you considering, and do you have to consider while you build this?
Gazwell, do you want to take that?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, David, how are you? My name is Godswill. I'm the CEO of Mygrate. I'm just chiming in on your question here. It's a great question. So actually, some of the major regulatory requirements that we're going to have to tap into are the anti-money laundering application as well. So with the anti-money laundering, also known as AML, we have to ensure that when we are facilitating the transaction of funds between consumer to business, that we're not violating any regulatory requirements in each state. Each state has their own laws and regulations in terms of how we ensure that our digital currency transactions are not violating any laws. And so we want to make sure that we get in front of that. And we also have a lawyer team, not only in the UK, but also here in the US. And so we want to make sure once we do go global overseas, that we're complying with laws, not only in the US, but also in the UK as well. And then in addition to AML, we're also looking into making sure that we don't have any other, fees that we need to, any other licenses that we need to apply for as well, such as a BIT license in New York.
Thank you.
MJ.
Thanks. Two questions. I'll be quick. Could you just talk a little bit about the mechanics of your business model? And then can you talk about where the marketing spend is going to be spent? You've got a two-sided marketplace, so kind of vendors and shoppers.
So to answer the second question, the marketing, we plan on using different outlets such as Google ads, YouTube ads, and various social media platforms to advertise specifically to the vendors initially, because vendors and business owners, those are our clients. So those are who we need to attract. They are coming with their current customer base, so we're not as focused on attracting them, but we will be using those medians for attracting those businesses. And can you repeat the first question really quickly?
Sure. Business model.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So in terms of like how we'll be gaining revenue and everything. So once the buyer sends the money to the smart wallet, the money that is sent to the smart wallet is the amount of the sale, the gas fees, and the transaction fee. The transaction fee goes directly to us, and then the smart wallet handles everything else. We can't access. It's built so that we can't access the money in the smart wallet, even if we want to. So it can only either go back to the vendor or to the customer, but we will take that transaction fee with every transaction that occurs.
Devin.
Thank you, Cameron. Really great pitch. So quick question I have is, who are your top competitors today, and what are a few ways that you provide competitive differentiation from your main competitors?
I can take that one. Great question, Devin. And so as you can see from, I think it was slide 7, our top competitors in the market today are actually Apple Pay, Amazon Pay, as well as Coinbase. As we all know, Coinbase has a debit card. However, there is no single application in the market that has a one-click button payment processor that allows people to be able to facilitate digital currency transactions. There are a couple of different ones that are like in early stage, but none that has successfully launched and has been able to generate revenue at a scalable amount. So I would say Apple Pay and Amazon Pay are the closest into that field. However, they have not yet integrated digital currency transactions.
Okay, and we're at time. Great job, Mygrate team. Thanks so much. And we're going to welcome on our next competitor. We have Jannae Gammage from Foresight reporting. And Devin, I'm going to have you go off video if you could.
Sorry.
No worries. All right, and Jannae, we're just waiting for your face to pop up.
Yeah, can you guys see my screen?
We can see you and the screen. We're good to go.
Oh, okay, and you can hear me. Great job. Good afternoon, Jannae Gammage, co-founder and CEO of Foresight, and I'm here to change the narrative that founders can't get funded. And I know you're probably thinking, yeah, that's true. They can't get funding. And it's because most of you guys know this statistic. And originally, that was actually our plan, to change that narrative. Then we thought about it and we wondered, well, what are the other 99% doing? Meet John. He's walked into his juicery to 2 inches of water and a busted pipe. He panics. He needs money now. Not JG Wentworth, 877 cash now, but money now. And John also knows if he waited the time that it would take to get funding, he would be out of business. So he goes to a FinTech lender that promises $50K in 24 hours. And that's a big problem for lenders because at 30 to 45 days to make a decision from first conversation to wire, they can't compete, leaving them with $800 billion in capital they can't deploy. Enter Foresight, a platform that enables lenders to get to a credit decision in 5 minutes versus 30 days. We solve the 3 problems that lenders have when it comes to making a lending decision: character, financials, and risk. Using behavior science, we provide a holistic view of the team or owner that uses non-traditional criteria. So for instance, you don't own a home, so you don't have the credit history to get approved, but you've paid your rent for 2 to 3 years. So they can use that. We also integrate into the owner's financials to create accurate projections on current and future revenue, all while decreasing risk and improving risk tolerance through what's called loan syndication. So meaning multiple lenders are working together to service one loan, giving the option to originate or participate in a subprime loan and approve more borrowers. And we make 2.5% of all capital deployed. So we have big goals to penetrate the entire 5.4 trillion lending market, but we're going to market with our early adopters, which is mission-driven lenders like credit unions and CDFIs. Thanks to a partnership with Bank of America, we have 10% of that 222 billion market on day one. Our team is a combination of technology, banking, loan, credit risk, and my co-founder, an MIT graduate that has built incredible algorithms to ensure founders have the funding that they need. Not to mention, we have all been a part of consulting business owners from ideation to exit. So you're probably wondering, why do you need $25K when you already have a large amount of funding commitments? Well, those are commitments, not wires. And most importantly, we are serving banks as an ally, not competition. So, So which means we have to abide by the same security compliance that they follow. So SOC 1 and SOC 2 certifications run roughly $20K. And with our June pilot, we have to fill that gap before we start. So my name is Jannae Gammage. And again, we're here to shift the narrative that founders can't get funded. That's it.
Great job, Jannae. You can stop sharing your screen and I'm going to welcome the judges back on. And I'm going to have MJ kick us off.
Sure. Thanks so much, Jannae. Couple questions again. I'll be fast. What is the estimated cycle time to see if somebody's going to default? And then how are you protecting downside from lenders to that exposure?
Yeah, so what the algorithm actually pushes out is a credit memo. In that memo is a probability index of charge-offs, and then it can give them ability to do rev share type of loans, micro loans. So they're able to make an informed decision on if there will be charge-offs, but also with micro loans, that's a character loan. So up to 25K, they have a reserve for charge-offs.
Great, thank you. David, do you want to go next?
Sure. That's a great question. It's a very interesting space you're in. My main consideration is kind of similar to the last question, but how are you differentiated from the other kind of underwriting solutions here? Like, is there a way to prove that you are what you're building has better outcomes longer term?
Yeah, so we did tons of customer discovery, which is how we pivoted to mission-driven lenders to as early adopters. So what's happening now is they're using like 4 different softwares to even do the underwriting process. So they'll have like an application. We would replace that application to help them make a decision quicker. Like I said, 5 minutes versus 30 days. And then they would start the underwriting process. And we're doing it that way because every CDFI is different when that underwriting process begins. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
No problem.
You might have mentioned this, Jannae, but can you just tell me one more time, what is the, you mentioned behavioral science being a part of the decision-making. Can you just kind of opine on that?
Yeah, so actually good question, because we have a behavior scientist that initially we were going to actually show the banks like team cohesion, different facts about the owner. And we figured out that would actually create more bias, because if you're a lender and you see, entrepreneur, architect, or whatever the decision factors are, you may think, well, architect and entrepreneurs are the people we want to fund. So it's a weighted score and team is included in that, but they don't actually see that.
We have time for one more.
I have a question. How are you planning on acquiring customers? How do they find out about you?
Lenders. So actually that partnership with Bank of America will be launching to their portfolio of lenders, which is 262. Mm-hmm. Also, the loan syndication creates a network effect. So if you want to bring on a lender, you'll invite them to the platform, and then of course we'll nurture them to actually join the platform and get paid off the loan at that point. We're also working with CDFI coalitions for the loan syndication to get them kind of involved in that. So that's usually around 20 to 25 banks per coalition, and they're set up in different areas. So that's our way to penetrate the market quickly, distribution channels.
If you have any parting words, we have a couple seconds left. So
me?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get founders funded.
Let's do it. That's why we're here too. I love it. All right. Thanks, Jannae. Have a great one. Thank you so much, judges. And we're going to welcome our next competitor onto the stage. We have Mercedes Pickett with ER Data Solutions. Hi, Mercedes.
Hello, good afternoon.
I'll let you know when we can see everything. Looking good.
Nice. Good afternoon. Have you ever donated to a cause only to wonder if your dollars amplified the intended impact? Well, what if I told you just about every nonprofit has valuable data that can make their organization more impactful, but few are able to leverage that data to maximize each dollar? That's where ER Data Solutions come in. ERDS is an analysis tool that identify nonprofits' effectiveness and inefficiencies while improving end user services. In 2021, Americans gave more than $400 billion to charity. However, only 40 to 45% of funding is retained by nonprofits, and that's year over year. Without identifying the success of their mission, organizations subsequently lose funding. ER Data Solutions utilizes the organization's data to analyze impact and discover program insight. The ERDS process includes reviewing the nonprofit's objectives, customizing their requirements, gathering relevant data, analyzing key performance metrics, and utilizing figures to solve their challenges. ERDS pinpoints the gap between nonprofits' strategies and goals versus the reality. With this information, nonprofit leaders can recognize effective services, reallocate resources, and incorporate KPIs during the grant writing process. Our ideal customer profile are nonprofits within community, economic development, and social services. Our sales strategy is to connect with foundations that fund community organizations, network at resource events, and to utilize the Earth Remedies non-for-profit database. An example of ERDS measuring and amplifying impact is with Roots to Fruit nonprofit, a youth organization reducing the crime on the west side of Chicago. By identifying and magnifying their impact, the organization is able to optimize program costs, strengthen those programs, increase member retention, and gain additional funding. Our competitive landscape is modest. The few competitors we have only report on impact. ERDS presents strategies that amplifies impact. With the $25,000, 48% of the funding will be used to develop the infrastructure, and 36% of the funding will be used towards hiring a data analyst. We are currently building the database and digital dashboard and utilizing MOUs to attract organizations on the west side of Chicago. Throughout 2024, we plan to onboard South Side organizations and Chicago foundations. We also have a market to connect with small businesses that have a strong corporate social responsibility. The ERDS team has over 26 years in community development experience, 14 years of startup experience, and 10 years of data analytic experience. We also have advisors that are guiding us towards making the impact. We are able to amplify impact because Earth Remedies, a hub of developmental resources, was our humble beginning. By connecting community to resources and resource centers, small businesses, we were able to identify the reason for low impact yield. Just know the world wins when ERDS wins. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. I'll take any questions.
Great job, Mercedes. Devin, can you kick us off with questions?
Absolutely. Wonderful pitch. Question I have is your target market specifically in Chicago, or are you in the future going to plan to kind of roll this out nationwide?
Yes, in the future, we plan to roll this out nationwide. Understanding the impact in low-income communities also allows us to translate this globally, as identifying impact, the services that are working allows for communities to be changed over time.
David.
Awesome pitch, Mercedes. My question is around, I'd like you to paint the picture a bit more about some of these inefficiencies. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that.
Yes. So as a nonprofit founder, we've noticed a lot of organizations have an issue with retention of members, gaining the attraction of members, understanding if those services are what those residents need, and if it's getting the desired impact. So if you're working with an example, a nonprofit called Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago, they have an amazing yield of bringing first-time home owners into this process. Acknowledging what they're doing well allows them to get more funding, and identifying what is not attracting to those potential clients for them to get that home at the end allows them to strengthen those programs and to make sure that they're getting a higher range of impact, ideally.
Thank you.
MJ.
Yeah, I think I'm got some questions about the nature of the business. So quick question. I'm sorry I missed it. Business model, and then how well understood are the metrics for community, for arts, for economic development? And can you narrow that focus a little bit more for me? Because those seem still like really broad categories.
Absolutely. So for our business model, and if I can share my screen just quickly, it's allowing us to identify the nonprofits based on their operational cost. And that's usually the data that they hold. There's a service tier 1, 2, and 3, and it's allowing us to engage, one moment. It's allowing us to identify the services that the nonprofit is tracking, the data they're currently tracking, and how much work they need us to analyze. So it can be member retention, it can be the service impact. However, we also understand that not every nonprofit has the funds upfront. So that's why we've incorporated MOUs where we're allowing them to improve their impact, to identify what they're doing well, and make that adjustment within the grant writing process. So they are able to get that funding, and we've assisted them along the way. We've also identified that nonprofits do not have the technical staff to identify impact and to track that data. They are capturing the data for their funders, but it's not being utilized. If we are able to take our services within these spaces, we're saving them on the cost for the full-time positions of a data scientist and a data analyst, but also allowing them to receive more funding so they can do the work that is within their mission.
We have time for one more quick one.
Quick question: is this something you're building, like a software, or is it going to be more of a repeatable service over time?
This is a software. We are working with an AWS engine to allow the community organizations to load the data, and we also have the consultants to understand it based on their mission. So it is based on the design of that individual organization, but also allowing them to upload their data and to get the metrics immediately.
All right, great job, Mercedes. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to welcome James Kim and AlumSum onto the stage. And Devin will have you go off the screen. All right, we can see you, James. We just haven't seen your screen yet.
Good? Okay.
We're good.
Hi, everyone. A couple of years ago, I was able to fulfill a lifelong dream and get an MBA from my dream school. Unfortunately, I had to take out a bunch of student loans to pay for my education. And I didn't realize until I started the repayment process that my student loan information was scattered everywhere across a number of different lenders. And so because of that fragmentation, there was a lack of understanding of what's really going on under the hood. And that lack of understanding led to lack of planning on tackling my student debt much more effectively. And so at AlumSum, we've built a student loan management platform that aggregates a borrower's entire portfolio of student loans and presents it in a way that's much more easy to understand and digestible. We've also incorporated a refinancing section directly into our platform that allows our users to explore refinancing if that is a viable option for them, while we generate leads for our partners. And more recently, we've taken the idea that we have with our refinancing, and we're wanting to broaden that out to offer other financial products, including mortgages, credit cards for those more recent college grads building credit, retirement products as well. And we anticipate white labeling our platform for financial institutions that also sell these financial products. And we all know that student loan debt is a huge problem in this country. But as we looked further into the numbers, we've realized that there are some segment groups within our target demographic that have much more than 100,000 in debt. And so these segment groups are who we're going to be targeting from here on out. We're one of the few fintech companies out there that are much more consumer focused with the front-facing platform for the borrowers themselves. We already have refinancing partnerships in place, and where we set ourselves apart from the rest of the competition is that we truly empower our users to become much more proactive in not only tackling their student loan debt, but also their handling their personal finances overall. And then again, with our corporate partners that sell these financial products, we are that vertical selling channel that becomes much more natural and seamless in the selling process. We're going to be working alongside university alumni associations and financial aid offices, along with our corporate partners. And because we are that front-facing for the consumer, social media marketing is definitely going to be a part of that strategy. April 1st beta launch was our most recent major milestone that we surpassed and achieved. And we're taking the time right now to really understand our user base persona. Again, our roadmap and building out for those other financial products. And in later versions, we want to help our users explore how do we increase their income through the skill sets that they already have or hobbies, and take that extra income that's generated and put that towards their student loans. I've got an incredible team that I work alongside who's got the technical skills to not only execute, but also to scale our business. And this is what our success looks like finally. We want to save about $15,000 in interest for the life of the loans of the user, cut 6 years off of the payment timeline so that they can achieve that next major financial milestone at an earlier stage in life. Thank you so much for your time.
Great job, James. All right, I think MJ, you're gonna have you kick us off.
Yeah, sure. James, thanks so much. I love this vision. I have a question just about the roadmap and the current starting point of the business. It feels like the starting point of the business is more than enough to bite off in terms of runway and opportunity. And so I'm curious how you see that, how long is that opportunity going to take to realize versus, why worry about kind of all the other things?
Yeah, so definitely, it's just been a couple of weeks since we launched our beta. So, brand awareness is our number one focus right now, and just getting out there, getting out into the marketplace. I just recently hired a social media marketer, and so, that's covering some of that brand awareness. But, a lot of it, at least at the start of it, is going to have to be organic, right? And so I'm relying a lot on my own personal network of networks, and just getting the ball rolling. And so building that brand awareness is definitely going to be our major focus as of right now.
Devin.
James, great mission. I think it's a huge problem with student loans. Question I have is, what do you anticipate the differences between your sales strategy between your different partnership verticals? For example, you said universities and then different financial platforms. What's your thinking there?
So as far as the universities, again, this is much more to do with building that brand awareness. And so starting with the Chicago universities, I do have several connections with larger universities in and around Chicago. So Northwestern definitely have people within the a Kellogg office there, my own business school booth, as well as my undergraduate University of Illinois. So tackling those in terms of getting out there, whether it's going to be through the newsletters, but trying to get in front of the tens of thousands of alumni in terms of immediate brand awareness. As far as the partnerships, again, this is going to be relying heavily on my connections in the financial community.
David.
Yeah, kind of building on that. I'd love to, if you could walk me through that lead gen business model a bit more, particularly around, how you're going to monetize that aspect, potentially how you're going to monetize the, the customer piece as well. And
yeah, so we have already secured contracts with 4 refinancing companies in the student loan refinancing space. And so we generate revenue from referral fees for conversions, approvals for those refinance loans. And so those are already set in place for our refinancing. And we're not going to be charging our users, like a subscription fee, at least not right now, but during our customer discovery process, as we just launched our beta, that's definitely one of the questions that we're asking our test users is that, can you picture yourselves, paying a couple of bucks a month for our service? And that's something that we're still, asking.
I have one more question, if that's cool.
Super fast. Go super fast.
How do you kind of differentiate yourself from broader financial management platforms? So like I'm in Canada, one called Mint, that doesn't make very similar.
Yeah, so we primarily focus on student loan debt, right? Some of those other FinTech apps out there, personal finance apps, they're more from a budgeting standpoint, taking. Okay,
that seems like, I'm sorry, we're over, so I gotta make it fair, but hopefully that was an adequate start to the answer. Thanks so much, judges, and thanks, James. Great job. And now we're going to welcome our last competitor onto the stage. We have Alicia Maule with Givepact. All right, Alicia, we can see your screen, and then Devin, I'm going to have you go off screen if you could.
3, 2, 1. Good afternoon. I'm Alicia Maule, the CEO and co-founder of Givepact, a crypto fundraising platform for nonprofits. We exist because the majority of the nonprofits in the US don't have a way to receive crypto donations, but the market is exploding. Crypto donors, who are largely millennials, give 82 times more than a cash donor. And by not making themselves accessible to crypto, nonprofits are missing out from anywhere between an average of $50,000 to $150,000 a year. When you donate crypto directly to charity, you optimize your taxes. It's a win-win. You're giving to a cause you care about, and you're avoiding capital gains taxes. What we're doing at Givepact is building a marketplace for any nonprofit. We'll do all the hard stuff, the AML, issue tax receipts, and get donors excited about giving. We'll convert it to cash. Nonprofits don't have to worry about anything else. This is a big opportunity. The charitable giving industry in the US alone is worth $500 billion a year, and we know crypto is next in this technology. We're coming for the market. We make money by charging 5% per transaction fee, which is industry standard. Our twist is we put 4% to our for-profit company licensing the technology, and 1% goes back into the community, into the charitable foundation, run by you. As investors, donors, and nonprofits, you decide, how should that money be allocated? Do we need it in Syria after the earthquake? What are the issues we need? You guys work together and decide. We're going to market targeting the 34 million crypto holders in the US using our marketplace website. And then we have an API that can seamlessly integrate to the $1 trillion market cap ecosystem. Think Amazon Gives, but for crypto. We are the mainstream app ahead of the competition. What makes us different? The DAO, or the Charitable Donation Foundation, giving NFT rewards to get people excited. And then we accept credit cards. And if you're not crypto native, you can come to Givepact, give cash, and you start opening a wallet and collecting NFTs. So crypto giving becomes your entry place into Web3. We already have 150 organizations on the wait list to use our technology, but we will launch with every nonprofit on the platform. This is the exciting thing here. What we're doing at Givepact is building a Web3 technology company that facilitates a network of social impact products. We're building the baseline infrastructure to make it simple. We have our products in the marketplace website and the API, and then the world is our oyster. We can monetize more through, let's say, DAFs for our customers, and obviously people who are involved get to help, decide the future of some of this revenue. We've had great support in the space. We won consensus last year out of 120 companies. We are part of CPG Pop's inaugural incubator, and we just graduated from Outlier Ventures, the leading Web3 accelerator in the world. We're raising a pre-seed round of $2 million. This investment, this non-dilutive grant from TechRise would be phenomenal. We're launching in June, and it would help us support our marketing efforts so that we get to profitability and runway within 18 months. We have an extraordinary team. I spent the last 8 years leading Innocence Project's digital team, helping become one of the leading nonprofits in the country, if not world. My COO, Stephen Aguiar, is a growth marketing genius, and our CTO, Bin Yang, has over 15 years of quantitative experience and knows the tech stack we need to build the best product, and we have an excellent front end and back end team designing it. So let's redefine giving with crypto, cause, and community. Looking forward to your questions.
Great job, Alicia. You went off sharing. And David, could you kick us off?
Awesome, great pitch. A couple questions here. Just one question I'll start off with, and maybe we can have time later. Curious, since you are using the Web3 interface, is there a world where the customer could go directly to the charity to donate themselves, or what's kind of stopping them from effectively you're the middle person in this case?
Yeah, so we built this based on there's no tension to get. Right now, we've spoken to dozens of nonprofits. They're afraid of crypto. They don't want to hold it. They don't want to pay for it. If they are paying for Giving Block, the competitor, they're not getting any donations. So effectively, we are making it, opening up your own wallet is tricky. So we're saying just take the cash donation. And it's free for them. So it's a total no-brainer. They can put this on their website and be part of their donation journey for ways to give. The point is that the majority of nonprofits are not doing this, and we're making it simple and seamless. And incentivizing being part of a community that you get to decide on the allocation of our treasury. So it's a win-win. We've made it so nonprofits cannot say no, and they don't have to opt in. They're going to get a check in the mail from Givepact. They're going to say, "Who is this? I want to learn more. Where's this money coming from?" So we've built this so it's a no-brainer. Did that answer your question, David?
Yep.
All right, MJ.
I'm curious how you've tested the demand for it. So not the not-for-profits, but the size of the market. Who might want to do this, and how will they take advantage of it? Or
Yeah,
how do you know what the size of that market is?
Well, it would be the 34 million US crypto holders, because they've accumulated lots of money. And when people who are sitting on gains, which they still are, they'd want to donate. Ultimately, there are very few options to give.
Real quick, I'll just narrow it for you. Like, who within that market are you focused on? Where do you get started?
Yeah. So number one, our API allows us to work with Web3 companies so that they can use it directly in their platform. So through Outlier Ventures, we have 200 partners that we can work with. In terms of the marketplace, we're targeting Web3 entrepreneurs who have influential communities, NFT collectors, and people who are leading in the space and are already thinking of giving, especially in times of crisis. So we can quickly set up a fund in the wake of another earthquake or tragedy.
Thanks.
Thanks. And Devin.
Quick question around the 1% of the proceeds that are used to go back into the community. Have you thought about any of the governance around that 1%? Like who will be at the table to kind of decide? And then does your company Givepact have any say in those decisions, or is it completely up to the organization?
Thank you, Devin. Margaret, let me just address your question a little bit better, which is to say that we can scan wallets to see the amount of crypto people have in their wallets. So we can target people based on the amount of money they have. And obviously we can go for higher end donors. Ethereum in particular is the second most donated coin. So the Ethereum community is super strong in giving back. Devin, in terms of the 1%, the DAO, donors can opt in to claim their PAC token, and nonprofits on the platform can opt in to claim their PAC token. That community gets to put forth proposals on how they want, we'll say, okay, we've raised 50,000, but you have a deadline to get your proposals in, and the community, we do majority, and the founders, me and my co-founder, will also be able to,
I'm sorry, I just realized the time I was having a little bit of a panic about something else, and then we're over. So we got to stop. Alicia, great job. Thank you all judges. You have the very challenging job of going to decide who today's winner is going to be for the $25,000 from our friends over at Discover. So we'll go, we'll bring you back in about 10 or 15, 12 minutes. Good luck. And Alicia, great job. All right. So Andrew, you are joining us. Andrew Ludwig is a banker with JP Morgan's Technology and Disruptive Commerce Group, specialized industry vertical within the commercial bank that works with fast-growing technology companies and innovative consumer brand companies across their life cycle. You're based in Chicago, and you work with FinTech and payments companies across the broader Midwest. Normally, guys, we just do like me and the guest, but you know what? If the founders want to ask some questions, like why not? Let's let them on if that's cool with you, Andrew.
That's cool.
All right, let's do it. Well, Andrew, why don't you tell us a little bit about like your personal story and how you got into FinTech as an industry?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it starts a long time ago, probably 10, 12 years old. I remember getting a book from my mother, and it had a $5 bill on top, and it was like, hey, put this in the stock market, and that was it. It was off to the races. I just wanted to learn as much as I could about finance. Fast forward through school and iterations of working with both private companies, and then also just getting into banking and working with FinTech and payment companies. It's always kind of changing, and so I think that's really what's given me a little bit more drive to make sure that that's my focus going forward. So it's an ever-changing group, and it's always exciting to see what's around the next corner.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit more about how Chase and other financial institutions tend to work with startups, and how you think about kind of the trends that are in FinTech startups right now?
Yeah, so I'll just give you a quick overview of kind of JP Morgan's Technology and Disruptive Commerce Group. So we're part of the commercial bank, part of the specialized industries group. And essentially what we do, we work with startups from inception to IPO. We're a very large financial institution, as you all know. And what we try to do is make it feel small. We're geographically based across the United States. So not only are we keeping on top of national trends and what's going on, but we're talking with the local ecosystem. We're talking with founders that are here actually making a difference within our own communities. And I think that kind of gives everybody a better sense of, hey, we can actually help. And then especially when it comes down to connections, who can I introduce you to? Well, somebody that's, probably very close to you, right? So that's what the goal is. That's what we try to do. And obviously outside of just the commercial banking front, right? Operational accounts, things like that. Really trying to take a step back, make those introductions, and then also what's the next phase, right? There's a lot of solutioning. So when we're talking with founders, it's, again, I heard somebody talk really early on about regulatory and compliance. When we're talking about trends that we're seeing right now, that's a big one, especially in the FinTech space, right? Understanding whose money are you holding? Are you holding your money? Are you holding corporate cash, or are you holding third-party money? because as we well know, right, that comes with a whole plethora of potential regulatory compliance risks, AML, KYC, and registering as potentially a money transmitter, if that's the case. So those are the things that we're definitely focused on and trying to help individuals understand early and make sure that, again, they cost money, right? I mean, legal, hiring individuals who have that skill set. Those are things that, for a startup, right? Like that's a hard cost that they get to realize right away. And if you don't think about it right away, I mean, we've been in potentials. We are in a situation right now, right? We're working with a company and they have to change their entire business model because they didn't take that into account early on. So that's definitely something that we're seeing.
I can definitely testify to the importance of having great banking partners as you're building your company, especially if you're in a murky area. I don't know if all the founders know this, but I built one of the first crowdfunding platforms, Give Forward, and it was before Stripe, before WePay, before there were really like ways to do this without aggregating, and we had to fly under the radar, and we needed a great banking partner, and you guys actually were that partner to us. So definitely have been promoting JP Morgan and Chase for a long time because of that. And I don't think people always realize that a big bank can be a partner to a small business, not just in solving your immediate banking needs, but also in relationship building. But one of the things I think that founders don't necessarily know how to navigate, and often our VCs don't either, is how do we go from client to potentially like a contract with you guys or integrating into some of your technologies? What kind of scale do we need to have? Like, what's the trajectory for a company to go from customer to partner?
So it's a conversation that comes up often, right? Especially in the payments and FinTech sector. Look, at the end of the day, right? I mean, we have a large team that's dedicated to our partnerships, right? And it's evaluating those needs on kind of a year by year basis and saying, what is JP Morgan doing? What's the path that we're going down, and making sure that all the pieces and the partnerships that we would potentially have fit that puzzle. So I can't give you a really detailed answer on that because it is all what's going on. As far as scale, right? It's a large institution. Again, we have customers too. We have to make sure that compliance, security, everything is above board, and would assume that any institution we're working with has that ability to kind of manage those expectations, and that the safety and security of our customers is number one. So
for sure. I forgive me if this is not in the realm of the conversation, but what about on the venture side of the bank? How do you guys think about investing in related industries or tangential industries, and how might founders think about strategic capital from a bank like yours?
So there's a number of pockets of capital that we can have. We have on balance sheet money, that's strategic investments that are directly from JP Morgan. There's also we have a growth equity team that's a combination of bank balance sheet and others. But it's something that, again, we kind of start conversations, right? And that's essentially how we make those things work, right? It's all, come talk to us, let us know what you're doing. We can make those right connections. And that's the whole point of our group internally at JP Morgan, is you come to us, you have one point of contact, and we're able to bring and surround you with all of our partners, whether that be strategic investment or others.
Founders, I'm happy to open up some questions to you all if anyone has a question for Andrew. While you think about it, I can ask a few more. I'm curious what's one of the industries, or I guess the trends, that you're most excited about right now within FinTech?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I'm seeing a lot and we're working with a lot, obviously challenging time for just venture in general, fundraising, right? So what founders and businesses are doing is they're kind of peeling back and they're saying, okay, well, we have a great product, but we also need to keep these customers, right? And so how do you do that, right? Potentially embedding payments within your organization, right? You already have a customer base. How can you make that stickier? One of the ways that we're seeing that, and to great success, is companies that say, hey, let's let's tackle that and put potentially, a way to process payments for customers within their tech stack. So, not only do you have a great product and suite of solutions, but it also makes it harder to leave your platform, right? And so that's one of the things that we're seeing really expand, right? Embedded finance just across the spectrum, no matter the industry, right? I mean, like construction industry, CPG, whatever you have. I mean, like every company potentially could be a FinTech company at this kind of new iteration of technology advance. I mean, it's everybody's got their smartphone. Everybody's, all my cards now are on digital wallet. So it's just easier than ever to make those payments. And then if you can create that seamless transaction with a customer, it just makes them like you more.
I completely agree. I also think that, people who are operating marketplaces like Parachute, my second company, we were able to bring on a FinTech investor because at scale, we were a payments company that just happened to, transact kids' activities. And so I do think more founders should think about themselves within that lens of FinTech and what tools are out there that are, coming down the pike or are already like well built that you can start to implement into your own technologies and think about your business slightly differently. As I do invest through the Josephine Collective, and we do see a lot of FinTech because of my background with both those companies. And I personally am resistant to this negative consumer FinTech trend, and I'm curious how you feel about it. But I think if anything, we're going to continue to verticalize even further based on interest in industries and maybe even regions, even like social identity. And so I'm curious how you all are thinking about some of maybe the backlash or maybe the pendulum swing is maybe a better word for it, that has been negative towards consumer FinTech lately.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a challenge overall, right? Consumer preferences are kind of ever changing, which, before it was kind of like a one size fits all from a, whether it be a lending perspective, what have you, right? Now people want saying, hey, I'm a little bit different than that person over there. I have different circumstances. And so one, it makes it a little more challenging for companies to adapt to that. They have to take that into account and say, okay, well, how can our product change on a whim, right? When we're going down one path, I think we're going to see a good amount of differences from AI and starting to get into basically how to change potentially a business model and create more individualization across the lineup, right? So you can basically have potential lending products that are just customized for each individual that again could be relatively unique. So
yeah, absolutely. What about the ESG side of things? How do you think that's going to, or I mean, do you think it's more of a consumer preference? Do you think it's going to be a mandate? Where do you see kind of that part of the impact side of banking happening or FinTech?
Yeah, I think it's just going to continue. I think, obviously, I have my own personal opinions outside of those of my employer, but we are, and at JPMorgan, we are absolutely just pushing the forefront of ESG as well, right? It's top of mind with most things that we do, right? It's how do we get back to the community? How do we sustain just kind of our place in the banking world and continue on and supporting our customers along the way?
Well, you guys have been massive contributors to our ecosystem here with your support of TechRise nationally, but then, of course, the 2 new cohorts that are joining. Is there anything else that we should be paying attention to that you all are doing in Chicago or the greater Chicagoland area that we might not know about?
I think for us, I mean, we got TechStars program. We're doing TechStars by JPMorgan. Basically, similar to what you guys are doing, $87 million. Going to that over 37 cohorts. So the investments there, we want to grow. So it's we're putting dollars where it matters in our community. So that's I'll leave it with that.
Great. I know we're at time, but the judges have not come back yet. So I don't know, founders, Andrew, if you have to go, we totally understand. But if founders, if you have any other questions or Oh, I think they're coming back. Never mind. All right. Well, Andrew, thanks for spending some time with us today and sharing some of the information about what's going on over at JP Morgan. And hopefully we'll have you back on. And then founders, I think everyone's on screen, but judges, if you could come on and let us know who is the winner today for $25,000 sponsored by Discover.
I'll be announcing the winner. So the runner-up is Givepact, and the winner is Foresight.
Right. Wow.
Oh my God.
Jannae, is there anything you want to say to the judges? Or?
Yeah, we've been so stressed about this SOC 1 and SOC 2 audit. So just thank you so much. And thank you to the judges for believing in the company. We really, really appreciate it.
And thank you all so much for being here, Verizon. Thank you as always for being our partner in the room and here. Founders, don't forget, this is not your only time that you're welcome on the TechRise stage. We're going to bring you back so you can come back and win. Also, congrats to Foresight. Thank you, Discover, for making today possible. And thank you also to Andrew for joining us from JP Morgan. We hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you all back next week.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.